Welcome to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Murata, host of the show, and it is show number 223. Good afternoon. Happy Monday. Happy September. And proud member of the Education Podcast Network, VoiceEd Radio Canada, iTunes, wherever you are taking in your podcast. Happy to be on with you. Thanks for listening. If you're watching live, jump in with a question or a comment today. Excited to be on and excited to be rolling. Looking forward to talking to the man himself, Ken Williams, Unfold the Soul, author, motivator, educator, leader, and so on. We can keep going with Ken Williams. I'm excited. I love Ken's message. I love his branding. I love everything he's bringing to the table for educators. So we're going to talk to Ken real quick. I do want to thank today's sponsor, Ken. I'm going to try to get you some of this. Sorry, when I do the virtual background, it gets a little funny here, but Particle Men's Cream. I got in touch with this company. They're fantastic. Check them out. That discount code is AMurata20. You get your discount, AMurata20. Here's the cream, right? Ken's a good-looking dude. It is phenomenal, right? I'm going to put a little on right here. It's so smooth. Takes care of me. I'm getting younger now, but it smells great. It feels great. It doesn't feel greasy. You feel fresh. You feel just great. So Particle Men's Cream, check them out. Discount code is AMurata20, and check out, they got hair products. They got all kinds of good stuff. And I'm happy to be in a relationship with them. So please check them out. Particle Men's Cream, AMurata20 is your discount code. Let's get rolling. Show number 223. It is the day after 9/11. I do want to give a shout out to all of our first responders, all of our people that are involved in everything of what 9/11 represents. I was at a great ceremony yesterday, heard some powerful firemen speak, and just the memory of 9/11 and all that is, right? There's so much there. So certainly a shout out. And if you're a New Yorker like my brother Ken, exactly what that means to us New Yorkers. And I know it touched everybody everywhere. So, but let's get rolling. Opening concept here, not being afraid to lead, not being afraid to do the hard things, right? Sometimes that's boldness. Sometimes that's brashness. Sometimes that is not afraid to make some waves. And that is the leadership that Ken brings. That is what I have felt from Ken's latest book. And again, sorry if you can't see this. It's a little funny with the virtual background. Ruthless Equity. It is bold. It is brash. It is honest. It has made me a better leader, that I have to do more than just ask for diversity, right? Just ask to have more students of color in honors classes or upper, whatever it is, right? It's not just about that. It's so much more. Ken is bold and he's brash, and it's made me a better leader. So for you leaders out there, we can't be afraid. We can't be hesitant. And really, Ken, you energized me. Your book did, and made me a better leader. So let's bring Ken in. Enough of me talking about him. Let's welcome him to the program. Here he is.
Thank you, brother.
Georgia.
Thank you.
He's got the hat on. He's ready to crown. Ken, it's an honor to have you on.
Thank you, brother. It's an honor, man. I appreciate that introduction, and glad the book hit you where you live.
It did, and how it couldn't. Ken, we're going to get to know you during here, but give us a real brief introduction of who you are and the message you're bringing.
I appreciate that, man. I'm a former classroom teacher, assistant principal, and school principal. I'm a lifelong practitioner. I've led 2 different schools through the Learning for All, equity process. And for the past 15 years, I've been working with schools, districts, and leaders on how to embed the practices that lead to equity, excellence, and achievement for all students, regardless of background. It's my life's work. It's my passion. And I wake up every day trying to figure out how to get the obstacles out of the way so educators can make magic for kids.
Yeah, certainly. And you hear that and you feel that. Ken, how are you? You had a busy summer. You're actually home for a couple of days.
Yes, sir.
How did it go this summer? We kind of came out of COVID, back in person with people. How was your summer connecting with educators
It
around the
was
country?
great, man. It was great. I'm at a point in my career where I try to protect a little personal time, and also, it's kind of a dichotomy. When I'm home long enough, I miss the road. When I'm on the road too much, I miss home. But yeah, in person is in full effect. I've been on the road pretty constantly since the third week of July. I think I had 2 days off the road in August,
Wow.
and this is a 4-day respite that I have right now, and I'm excited about that. But then I'll be back on the road this week, and I come up for air around Thanksgiving. So it's a great problem to have. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that there's demand, and just trying to empower educators to change lives, baby. That's it.
Side note, I do think the pictures from the plane are very funny, by the way. When you do those ones from the plane.
That's my alias, the grumpy uncle.
Yeah, I think it's great. Well, let's get right to it, Ken. This is your
All right.
latest work. And really, it really starts with that title, Ruthless Equity. Tell me about this. Tell me about how you got going with this. What was your inspiration? And really, educators, if you're looking for a burst, if you're looking for something to lead you this year, this is it. Ken, I loved it. And tell me about it.
Well, the inspiration was I wanted to write a book that just shot straight, serves as kind of a coach on the shoulder of the educator, the leaders, and a guide on your side. And, one of my litmus tests for titles is if it makes my wife cringe, and Ruthless definitely made her cringe some. But when I think about Ruthless, I think of it in terms of excellence. And so you think about anything that you've set out to become great at, whatever it is. It can be a hobby, it can be part of your professional life, your personal life. What it requires is this. Extra time is an oxymoron. There's no such thing. We have the same 24-hour pie. And when you decide to become excellent at anything, you cannot give your time, attention, and focus to everything. You, in fact, have to be ruthless about the factors that advance your work with excellence, and equally ruthless about those things that get in the way. And I think about Olympic athletes, right? So I can watch any competition in that forum, because everything in the Olympics is final. So, but what I find as compelling are the backstories of the athletes. And you hear about the hockey player who's up at 4:30, at the rink by 5, is at the rink from 5 to 6:30, then gets home and showers, gets dressed, eats breakfast, is at the bus stop by 7:15, off to school till 3 o'clock, back at the rink at 4:30. The whole thing, just that kind of pursuit of excellence. And again, those athletes have to be ruthless about what serves their pursuit of excellence, and equally ruthless about what doesn't. And I apply that to equity work because there's a lot of noise. There are a lot of systemic issues in our systems. And I'm not even talking about like race and culture at this point, just some policies. Educators hear so much noise about why kids can't. And I think we've just gone way too far trying to, parse out every piece of data about them. Here's what I picture. I picture teachers getting their new roster of students, right? You get your 25 new students, and the 15 things wrong with every student. And, we have more than 40 years of research that say that we make the difference. Like where kids spend most of their waking hours, like we provide the resources and supports, guidance, and mentorship to mitigate a lot of the circumstances out there. So this is my attempt at quieting the noise, calling out the elephants in the room, looking at practices that we've all done. I don't present on anything I've been screwed up on 1,000 times that get in the way of our work, get in the way of what equity is. And then the equity part of it is, listen, on the one hand, I'm happy that equity is on the tip of everyone's tongue. I'm sorry that a racial incident, the whole George Floyd thing, the social justice movement brought equity to the surface, but I'm glad it's on the tip of everyone's tongue.
Yeah.
But I've been doing equity work my entire career. I mean, I'm a PLC advocate, and that's equity work from the very beginning. What I'm frustrated with is how equity's been pulled in 9,000 different directions. You had cats who were selling used cars last year. They're writing equity books this year. And equity, if you put your ear to the ground or get on social media, equity seems to be all about race and culture. And while it encompasses that, equity is not about that. So this was my attempt to codify equity. You cannot achieve what you cannot define. And I've asked several thousand educators and audiences to define equity. And if I have a room of 40 people, I'm going to get 45 definitions. And so I wanted to also codify, like give teeth to a definition of instructional equity, so we can focus on those things that move the needle, not just look good in terms of optics.
Yeah. Can it really? And you hit the mark, the elephant in the room. I want to touch on a couple specific points. Page 12, you talked about the danger of diversity. And you say here, we've been lulled to sleep by the intention of diversity efforts, numbed by forced outcomes that appear to be positive results. Rather than explore the root causes that contribute to inequitable situations, diversity efforts address the issue cosmetically while solving nothing. Tell me about that and the work that you're tackling here to try to get to those root causes.
Sure. Now, listen, I've struggled with this all my life as a Black man in America. I'm going to tell you up front, I don't wear a target on my back. I don't go out looking for racism or prejudice. I give everyone the benefit of the doubt until you show me otherwise. That said, I'm grateful for doors that have been opened that were not open for my parents and my grandparents and my ancestors. I'm grateful for it. And, I was raised in a family. I'm a first generation college grad, but you wouldn't know it listening to my mother talk, God rest her soul. She just taught me, if it's cracked open for you, you got to kick it in and then give them a reason for you to stay. But I've always had an uneasy relationship with diversity efforts. Always had an uneasy. And it wasn't until I wrote the book that it really became clear to me. While I don't walk around with a target on my back, I don't walk around with like racism lenses on. I have stories now, but I'm not a victim. I've been victimized, but I'm not a victim. It bothers me that when I walk into a room and I've been made part of a member of a team or hired on or just become part of an organization, it bothers me that the thought crosses my mind. Am I here because I'm Black? Am I here because I'm qualified? Or is it a combination of both? That bothers me. That bothers me that I think about that.
Yeah.
And then I'll look across the room and I'll see a white guy, maybe like you. And then I'm wondering if you're wondering if I'm here because I'm Black, I'm here because I'm qualified, or a combination of both. And the thing is, I can't even be upset with you. I'm not even upset. It just bothers me that it crosses my mind. And
you're even thinking about it.
And so what the research I did for the book, it mainly came from Cobb and Crownapple in their book, Belonging in a Culture of Dignity.
Mm-hmm.
They helped me see that diversity seeks to accomplish what belonging actually accomplishes. So let's say we're in a room and let's say we're at a stadium or an arena. And let's say the front row has only been reserved for men for whatever reason. It's an extreme example, but let's say the front row of the arena has always been occupied by men, and women come up and say, hey, listen, we pay taxes, we contribute to society. There's no reason why women should not be a part of that. It becomes an issue. And diversity solves it. And I know I'm oversimplifying, but diversity solves it. If there are 10 seats, they'll take 5 of the seats and give them to women. And so the optics look good, but diversity rarely gets to why there were no women in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people don't know why change is happening and it's all on the surface and more cosmetic than anything else, it's challenging. And I think that's been some of the challenge with initiatives that try to open doors for, marginalized groups and things like that. What they also helped me see in writing the book is what we're really after is belonging. Belonging is what we're really after, but belonging, you got to get under that cornbread. Like you got to get beneath the surface with belonging. And that goes for staff and students. And the examples I give are these. I've walked into rooms where everybody in there looks like my cousin, and I felt right at home. I walked into rooms where everybody looks like my cousin, and I think to myself, something's not right here. Something's not right. I walked into rooms where I look like black pepper and a mound of snow, and I felt it for the wrong reasons. I've also walked into places where I look like black pepper and a mound of snow, and I feel right at home. I just started bowling last fall, and someone gave me like the secret password and magic code word to join a bunch of retired Delta employees on Tuesday mornings. And I was excited about it because it's set up in a way where I don't have to find a sub if I'm traveling. So I showed up, and 40 guys there, and they're all having fun. We're all broken up into teams according to handicap, and I'm the only person of color. But for me, it was literally incidental, and that incidental observation lasted 8 seconds because while I know those guys who, if you lined them up, look like Fortune 500 CEOs all the way through hee-haw, I know they didn't sit down and say, hey, we need to create a culture of belonging that has us as an organization adjust to welcome new members as is. I know they didn't sit down and do that because these guys are my friends now. I know they didn't, but they embody that.
It
They
happened.
embody it. They folded me in. I didn't, I ask all the time about belonging to have learners reflect on a time where you felt compelled to change something or hide something about yourself to fit in. And we've all done it, and we've all got stories.
Yeah.
But true belonging is not when the person adjusts to conform to the organization, but when the organization adjusts to bring the person in as is. And that's truly what we're after. I think that's ultimately what diversity efforts want to accomplish, but again, falls short because we rarely get beneath the surface, of why. And so I want to take those same concepts to schools, because listen, you an adult who gets a bad day of PD, just a bad day. The presenter's not prepared, either talking over their heads or condescension or whatever it is, monotone, boring. Adults will talk about that for a month, right? We'll talk about that for a month. But I tell you, like, we got kids who experience that like 100 every day.
Yeah, every day.
Every day. So there are some small moves we can make that cost nothing on campuses that help to foster a sense of belonging, because you're not going to achieve equity without it. That's the thing. You're not going to achieve equity, especially with a clientele who sits in front of us 180 to 185 days a year, if they don't feel like they belong. And again, adults in my classroom, but that's how I come up with a lot of my concepts. If it doesn't work in adult world, then it's probably not going to work in kid world.
That's true. Well, along those lines, Ken, on page 89, if you call them low, you will teach them low.
Yes, sir.
Having those kids that maybe aren't the highest performers, maybe don't have the best grades there, having those kids feel like they belong, and getting them to work towards that.
That's right.
This was you talk about the elephant in the room. We talk like this, and
well, you hit on it with the word performance. See, that's the thing. I don't do ability. Ability is finite. Like, you either have it or you don't. And that's one area we get caught up. We're looking for high, average, and low. And you're talking about performance, like I talk about performance. Performance can be improved, right? And then it's about me. I've never, in all my years of teaching and all my years of leading, I've never, ever determined outcomes based on the kids that walk in the room. That's never even crossed my mind. Yeah. But it's rampant. And I don't think it's because, we're bad people, or nobody gets into this field, right, to do harm. But our systems are set up to move us in that way, where we start looking for those ability groups. While at the same time, we make Carol Dweck, the author of the great book Mindset, we'll make her a millionaire 6 times over and have growth mindset posters all over the damn school. And yet we still kind of revert back to that fixed mindset. And listen, you call a kid loaded, that's what they're gonna get you. That's the rub of our work. So, and that's a change I've made in my work recently. I'm not pulling people uphill anymore. I'm not gonna do it, because if you believe they can't learn, I got nothing for you. And the rub of the work is you're gonna find exactly what you look for. You call a kid low all year long, they're gonna give you a low. I've done it with adults, just as an experiment. And adults don't like to be ability grouped. Even when you're in a room with, like, you got brand new teachers there who still got baby powder on them, and 40-year engaged vets, right? I'm not saying that's ability grouping, but that's a wide range of skill and experience. And just on a hypothetical, when I tried to dumb it down and ask them to divide themselves up into high, medium, and low teacher groups, they were not happy with me. They were not, not even after I told them it was a hypothetical, they were not happy at all. And so I said, well, how do you think kids feel? One, for the kids who know better, it breeds resentment. But for most kids, we're influencers and they just believe it.
Yeah.
And then they'll produce that. We're going to find exactly what we look for every single time, without question.
Ken, I love the message. I love your style. I also love your sayings, right? I love this unfold the soul. We were joking off air, right?
Yeah.
Only special groups make the cup. And there
I appreciate
you are.
that, brother.
Tell me about it. Heart, humor, hammer, the crown. How, tell me about unfolding the soul. Tell me, how did you develop that? Because that is your brand. That's your logo. That's your message. Tell me about that. I love it.
Well,
I love it.
Back around 2006, man, I actually thought I was going to go into like personal coaching because I loved self-improvement. I grew up, my best friend in high school, Steve, brought $5 every day for lunch. And in 4 years of high school, I could not get my head around how his parents could give him a fresh $5 bill like every day. I mean, look at the serial numbers, just like that's a different $5 bill. Like he wasn't pulling out the same one day after day. And I mistakenly thought that, your cast in life is just set. I was raised by two wonderful parents who worked two jobs and a side hustle to make ends almost meet. I didn't live in abject poverty, but we were broke. We always had more month than the money. And I just thought kind of that's the way it was. And so the light came on about how you can, manifest and create and moves you can make to, improve your life. And I give my parents credit. Like they improved their lives. Like everybody wants to do better than their parents, and they did better than their parents who were hard workers. But I was reading a book, Think and Grow Rich is one of, outside of the Bible, like Think and Grow Rich is one of the biggest bestsellers out there. But there's a little known book by Wallace Wattles called The Science of Wealth. And it's kind of along the same line as Think and Grow Rich, just did not get the same traction. And I read that book. And Wattles did not talk about wealth in the material sense, like just making money for the sake of making money. What he talked about was like wealth is our birthright, because in our society, to see all the world has to offer, we have to generate income. And generating income is a byproduct of giving value. So it's all very pure, a lot of integrity. And there was a line in the book where he talked about, it's one thing to read about the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It's another thing to go see it. And he had this line that just said to fully unfold your soul. And that was it.
Bam.
That was it. I got an artistic friend back in Maryland who worked on a logo for me, and I've been running with it since. So even though I don't do personal development, this is what this work is. It's organizational development. It's, it's building that culture from the inside out, because, and I said it on, I recorded one of my podcasts today, and I said this again, that when you turn the corner and you start improving, what you're going to notice that what doesn't improve or change is like your community, and the tax base doesn't change, and the kids you serve weren't changing, and the challenges that they have at home. It has to happen from the inside out. And so that's what I help schools do, is help educators understand that when we lean into our collective expertise around the right questions, we're unstoppable. It doesn't matter who the kids are. The kids just provide context. Doesn't matter who the kids are and where they come from and what they look like and whether daddy's home or not. All that is context. Yeah. If we lean into our collective genius.
Unfold the soul. Get to the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah. To fully unfold the soul. That's right. You got to build wealth so you can go see the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
What a great story, man. I do believe in the power of a single experience, right? That touched your heart, touched your soul, and you ran with it. Good for you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Ken, a lot of people look at you. Oh, it's easy. He's got books. He travels. He's funny. He can present. But how do you do it? Tell me your writing process. There's so many school leaders that want to give more. They don't know how to do it. Do you sit down at the alarm clock and write? Do you write on the plane? Do you, what's your secret? What's your secret sauce?
I read this book by Stephen Pressfield. It was written in 2011. I think my sister recommended some clip he was doing, Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. And like the style of ruthless equity is an homage to this cat who finds a way to punch you in the mouth in the fewest words possible. And one of the things he talked about was, because I don't like to write. I'm gonna tell you up front. I got colleagues, like my co-author just wrote his 21st book. I don't like to write. But as my friend and mentor, Anthony Muhammad, taught me 15 years ago, he said, Ken, people know you as a speaker and you're a great speaker. He said, but people know me as a speaker and I have books. And people who've never heard of me will pick up my book.
Yeah.
And it will spread the message. And so what Pressfield talks about in this book is, look, there's not going to be a moment where the clouds part and the sun is shining. It's just at its apex. And the temperature's perfect outside and you're at the lake house where you can take a weekend and just write. He basically says, and this is his latest book, put your ass where your heart wants to be. And what he basically says is he doesn't use the word ruthless, but he says you write by sitting down and start writing. And you write every day. I don't care if it's a line or two, a paragraph, an idea, you write. Now he does it every day.
Yeah.
Now, when I decide I'm going to write and I'm working on my next project now, I make sure that every day I sit down. I typically start with questions I want to answer. And so for this next book, it keeps me up at night that the same 5 quote unquote subgroups underperform across our nation, no matter where I go, urban, suburban, rural, extra rural, doesn't matter. And every audience I sit in front of, homogeneous, heterogeneous, diverse, doesn't matter. If I say name the 5 groups, they can all name the 5 groups. Black boys, Hispanic boys, kids that don't speak the King's English, particularly Spanish, kids with IEPs, right? And kids who come from low-income households living in poverty. And Mike Maddow's asked a question from the stage, and ironically, I just talked with him last night. He was given a keynote. I think it was 2014, man. It just changed my life. He went over those 5 groups, and he said to the audience, listen, either we're saying the members of those groups are genetically predisposed to lower levels of intelligence, or we might have a subconscious sliding scale of expectations in our country. It's one of the two. And we know the first one's ridiculous. So I'm now trying to figure out what I'm trying to ask questions. I'm asking questions. I write the questions out and then I attempt to answer them. So that's my writing process. I ask questions that I'm struggling with. I attempt to answer them. And then when I'm done dumping all my thoughts, then I try to go to research to see if I can validate it, support it. Like we talked about off air, I'll find practitioners who are making things happen, who are, contrarians in that sense, folks who are getting results. I don't have a great scientific process for writing, but I believe in the power of 3. So no matter what it is, whether it's, a new app, a new project, whatever it is, once you decide you're going to do it, my rule is you got to make 3 moves a day. So if it's writing, sending an email, setting up a pocket, whatever it is, you got to make 3 small moves a day in the service of advancing that work. Because again, there's no, what Pressfield hammered me with was there's no moment, right? There's no great moment. And the enemy is always after you. And in his book, the enemy is resistance. Like there's always a reason to not write. There's always a reason to not put your thoughts on paper. A lot of times it's about, we're afraid of what other people think about us. I mean, we're in an age where I wouldn't call it narcissism, but we are we're with social media. Social media is really made our skin really thin. And I think there's a lot of genius out there and people are afraid to fail and afraid of what others think about them. And I am too. Those gremlins still live in my head. On my best days, I just I just invite them in, tell them to have a seat, and then I'm gonna get to work.
Ken, I love it, man. You got it. And I
You,
love
brother.
that these moments in your life all came from reading, right? There's a true educator. All
Yeah.
leaders are readers. And you just
sir.
shared 2 or 3 life-changing moments that came from books, man. So way to model that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I love it. Ken, we're running out of time, but I got to ask you, how does a New Yorker start wearing a cowboy hat and make that part of his persona? How does that happen? I know
don't
you're in
know, man.
Georgia now, but
That's the only downside of going back home. And I'm gonna sweep my wife away for a great weekend in New York in October. And
there we
I
go.
love going back home, but man, they treat me like a visitor, man, like if I'm out of town because of the damn hat. And I've always loved hats. Like in high school, like Indiana Jones was big, and I had like a cheap Indiana Jones hat. I've always loved hats, and I think I was in Dallas several years ago, and decided to take a chance, and I went to a hat store and bought a Stetson, and
Bam.
felt a little weird in it. But after a while, it wasn't my intention to make it part of my branding. What happened was, when people don't remember my name, they'll say the guy with the hat. And I was like, wow, that's something. And then one day I created a video with no hat on. And one person online was like clutching her purse, was like, oh my God, where's the hat? I'm looking for the hat. I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'll put the hat back on. And so it's just become a part of my branding sense. It doesn't make any sense. I disappoint a lot of Texans who ask me if I'm from Texas, because it's a nice hat. I have my hats made. So folks who wear hats can see they know a nice hat.
Yeah.
But I'm a fake cowboy. I've got boots, but I'm a fake cowboy.
You wear it well. I actually was in a hat store myself in Colorado. I have a huge dome, and I was kind of like, I got, and got me thinking. So
that's part of why I have them made, because I got a lot of brains. Like you, I got a lot of brains. And I found a guy in New Mexico who makes the hats. I saw someone in the audience. I was working in New Mexico, and I was like, that guy's got a great hat. And he said, my brother-in-law makes them like a blacksmith. So he's been my hatter since, and that's how that happened.
Well, it fits the brand, it fits the message. You're bold, you're not afraid, you've stepped out on your own, but you're modeling how to put yourself out there. So kudos to you.
Brother. Thank you.
Ken, is there something that you wanted to touch on that I haven't asked you?
Boy, oh boy. No, listen, and I don't know how else to say this. I don't do this for sales. I don't like my gas bill's paid. Like I'm doing okay. But not humbly, I know I've written a book that is unlike any book that's been written for educators. And I truly believe in this day and age, with so much noise coming in on one side about why kids can't, and why we're persecuted and abused and all the martyr stuff, I have a counter message, and I believe it needs to be in the hands of every educator in North America. And I'm on a mission to make that happen, because we're teaching our future. And I know we can make magic for kids during our contracted duty day, right? I'm not asking educators to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've even changed my stance on homework. I think homework should be abolished completely. If we can't get it done in 6 or 7 hours, can't get it done. I don't want my kids to come home, I got to turn into an algebra teacher. I want to spend time with them. I want teachers to relax and refuel, and then come back to this very complex and rewarding work of changing kids' lives.
And you did it, and you hit it, and here it is there. Again,
thank you,
title.
Thank you.
I do recommend it. You inspired me, right? You inspired me to reach those hearts of those kids that I'm not reaching, that I might look different of, and they belong. And I love how you said it today on the show.
Right. If you don't have the key, let's see if somebody else on staff has got the key. That's the thing. Like, when you're ruthless, you don't care where the answer comes from. You just want the answer.
Amen. Amen. Ken, let's roll to rapid fire. These are quick answers. The first thing that pops in your head. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Last book you read?
Boy, oh boy. 5 Families by Selwyn Robb. I haven't watched the news in 35 years, but I am consumed with organized crime history from every culture on earth. And this is a monstrous book that talks about the five families and immigration and, how they ran America for a while.
You're a true reader. I love it. Last movie you saw?
Oh my man, that's been a minute. I've been to a theater. I think it was so it wasn't Hamilton, but Lin-Manuel Miranda. What's the next musical that he did?
Into the Bronx. Into
yes.
the not a Bronx Tale. Yeah,
I know what you're talking. Yes, that one. Whatever that one is, that's the last one I saw in theaters.
And New Yorkers love that one too.
They did.
Yeah. You travel a lot. Let's say you're going back to New York with your wife. But where's a favorite place of yours to travel?
Oh man, I'll tell you what. A brand new favorite place is Newport, Rhode Island.
Yeah,
I did some work in Massachusetts. Flew her up, and we spent a few days in Newport. And man, oh man, we love the water. It's the tranquility of it. We don't need to swim in it, but we love the water. So Newport, Rhode Island has become a new favorite place to go.
Awesome. You're a big public speaker. You got a crowd. Maybe the energy's not there. What's your go-to crowd pleaser speaking strategy?
Man, oh man, a provocative video, a provocative hook. And I have a whole folder of them. Just something that gets you to stop. I don't care if you order on Amazon, you could be sending a text. It's going to make you stop dead in your tracks. And I try to tell educators, because I get asked all the time, what do you do with unmotivated kids and kids who don't want to learn? And I tell them, I said, I don't want to offend you, but when you guys come to PD, aside from a conference, you don't want to be here either. Yeah. Like you come in with your laptop loaded, you save all your emails for when I'm presenting, and it's on me to engage you enough to keep you off the email, keep you off of Amazon, keep you off of DraftKings. That's my burden. And I switch it up, multimodal, get them out of their seats, try to get them thinking. I've taken less of a prescriptive approach to the work and try to get educators thinking more instead of handing out a bunch of templates and, outlining steps.
Love it. The best administrators are the best because
they assume nothing. They prepare for everything. They respond based on evidence. And they know doing it alone only happens in movies. So leaders create leaders, and leaders give all the credit away. They give all the credit away because they know when your staff looks good, they look good.
That's a great answer, man. Really, really good. You shared some of your passions today. What's a pet peeve of yours? Something that gets under your skin?
Oh man, not using a letter opener. You talking about professionally?
You don't like you want the clean envelope.
Yeah. So in my personal life, it's refrigerating ketchup and not using a letter opener. What are we doing? What are we doing? Toilet paper that rolls under instead of over, like that. Those are things that annoy me. My daughter opened an envelope yesterday. She had her finger. I was like, "What are you doing?" I got letter openers all over the house, in the glove compartment of every car. I would say in our field, it's when leaders treat teachers like the low group. When I hear things like, "I don't think our staff's ready for that," it's like, well, how do you expect them to hold a crown above kids' head and challenge them to grow tall enough to wear it if if you're afraid of rattling them or talking about change? I think we as leaders we've lost the realization that I call it the blessed burden of leadership. You got leaders see the dawn before the day, right? You're not going to talk teachers into buy-in. You're not going to TED talk them into buy-in. You're not going to conference them into buy-in. You're not going to speaker them into buy-in. Buy-in occurs when you engage with new work and get new results. And as leaders, when we know that XYZ protocol is going to yield great results, but your teachers don't see it on the front end, you have to understand that it's a part of leadership that your approval rating may take a hit in the short run.
Yeah.
And so that, and I would say when leaders co-sign on excuses, I understand why some teachers come up with excuses. I get it, because the stuff is in your face that kids are coming to school with. But when a leader sympathizes and cosigns on excuses instead of empathizing and saying, let me go get you the supports to do the right work. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. That's a great distinction you just shared. That really is a great distinction. You could empathize and not sympathize.
Empathize all day long. Like, I know it's frustrating. I know you tried everything, but we got to get them there. So let's see all you've done, so it can kind of inform like what I need to go hunt and gather. Like, my job as principal is to hunt and gather, protect and defend, hunt and gather whatever teachers need to do the right work. I can't do excuses. Right? Because these kids, we got to turn kids out who are ready for society. But I will move hell and high water to go get you what you need. But I can't do excuses.
At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I feel
blessed to be alive, man. I'm in my 50s, brother. So every day I wake up on the right side of dirt is a good day. Like, that's like, my day starts off great when I wake up, and then everything else follows. It may move the needle a little to the left or right, but at 8 a.m. when the eyes open, I feel blessed to be alive, brother.
2 words to describe yourself.
Oh, man. So action-oriented is hyphenated.
That's hyphenated. I'll give you one. I'll give you one for that.
So that's action-oriented and visionary. Like, I can stand at point A and see point Z. And I have a talent for seeing more in people than they see in themselves and helping bring that forward.
Love it. Love it. Something about Ken Williams that people do not know about.
Boy, oh boy, I love history. So Newport, Rhode Island.
Yes.
So the Gilded Age, all the Gilded Age mansions, all the robber barons. I love that stuff. I'm an old school nerd. I drive one car is 47 years old. The other one's 50 years old. I just drove the 47-year-old car to get renovated. So I drive old cars. I listen to old music. I carry cash. I write checks. So yeah, that's probably what people don't know is I'm old school, man. I'm older now, but I've always been old school, and I drive really old cars. That's my meditation. I just run errands for no reason.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Ken, your website scrolling below here, Unfold the Soul. Is that the best way people to get in touch with you? If they want to contact you about speaking? And
yeah, that is the best way. And I'll shoot you another link that will just take you to everything I do, just like it's right there on the screen. But unfoldthesoul.com is the best way to get in touch.
Here it is, man. There he is.
Look forward to hearing from some of our listeners.
Yeah, I love it. I love the hat. I love the whole thing, man.
Thank you, brother.
Ken, this was great. We're going to get rolling. Do you have a quote? You have something that touches your heart that you want to end us with?
Yes. So you follow my work, you'll see the hashtag Start with the Crown.
Yeah.
Right. And that's based on a quote that was on the back of a college brochure when I ordered the brochure from my alma mater, Morehouse College, when I was 16.
Wow.
And it just stuck with me for years. And then, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I realized that's equity work. And so the quote I think about is, equity comes down to starting with the crown. And the quote on the back of the brochure was, above the head of every student, Morehouse holds a crown she challenges her students to grow tall enough to wear. And so I just replaced Morehouse with the school.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever the school is, you hold that crown, you hold it still, and you challenge students, support them to grow tall enough to wear it. And some are going to outgrow it, but we can no longer have all these rungs and fancy dumbed down groups beneath the crown. So hold the crown above the students' heads and grow them tall enough to wear it. Start with the crown, not with the kid.
Ken Williams, everybody. Ken, you told these stories of these monumental experiences so beautifully. You're what educators need. If you're looking for a speaker, you're looking for a great book to motivate you, please check him out. Unfold the Soul.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I
appreciate you having this platform, man.
Man.
Yeah, I admire guys like you who do the podcast, and you find guests. That would be the other thing that people probably don't know about me, is that I'm an outgoing introvert. So
yes. Yeah,
I enjoy being on podcasts with people like you, but it's just not my wiring to do one of my own like that. So
Yeah. Well,
I
and the
appreciate
quiet,
it, man.
the solace works, but you hit the mark today. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Guys, you have Ken's contact information here. If I could help you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out at Andrew Murata 21. This was Ken Williams. We're going to sign off. Ken, stay on the line a moment, and we'll get this music rolling. Thanks so much for tuning in. Keep surviving and thriving, friends. Bam.